Oh my. Whoa. I don't know if you saw that or heard it, but that didn't sound good. That thing just like rocked the floor. Yeah, that's not good. Oh my gosh. Today we are going to fix a washing machine that is unbalanced like the one we just saw from a previous video I did. You don't need many tools to fix a top-load washer that is rocking and bouncing around. Typically it's due to bad suspension rods, but one way to verify that the springs are the actual issue is that you'll want to do a quick test on your machine. The easiest way to check is to open the lid up and press down on your agitator or wash plate as hard as you can and let the machine bounce back to see how springy it is. You can also rock it to the left or right and see how much play there is and if it bounces around. A good machine will return to the center and it won't bounce at all, either side to side or vertically. It will stay centered immediately. And if it doesn't, chances are this video will help you out.
Hey guys, it's Ben here with Ben's Appliances, and today we are going to work on replacing the suspension rods in this Amana washer. Even though it says that it's an Amana washer, the truth is this is going to work for about any Whirlpool based machine out there. So Amana, Roper, Whirlpool, Maytag. But the reality is with these rods that are mass produced in China anymore is that this situation and how the swap out works is going to also work with most GE's, LG, and Samsung washers as well. I think one factory produces all of them anymore because they look so similar. The installation is just about the same. Some brands do have covers on them like the GE's, but if you take the cover off, it's the same exact thing. Really the only difference between the washers to do this is going to be how you take the top off. So the instruction on this is going to be for a Whirlpool designed unit, but it's going to work pretty similar for whatever washer you have. Definitely the same thing for Whirlpool Cabrios, Maytag Bravos, generally anything that is a top load machine this tutorial is going to work on. What we have in terms of items to do this is we have the suspension rods. I'm using the Supco version, which is a little bit cheaper, but not too cheap. I've noticed that some of the off brands that don't have a name on them tend to be pretty bad. So you either want to use OEM or Supco. I have a Irwin 6-in-1 screwdriver here, mainly going to be using the 1/4 inch function on it. And then finally, I have a glove with rubber on it. This is going to be used to help to grab onto the suspension rods and pull them out. Helps out a lot. Now, the big reason we want to use this glove is it helps grip onto the suspension rods. I've been in situations where you have two people to help do the installation on these. It makes it a lot easier. But if you're one person by yourself, you definitely want to have and invest in some sort of glove. Only one is what you need. And you can even use the cheap rubber dishwashing gloves as long as there's some sort of grip on them to pull the rods, because after 5 years of use or however long you've had them, chances are there's going to be soap and oils on them, and it's going to be near impossible to pull the old ones out by yourself without great difficulty. So what we're going to do is start on the machine, take it apart, put the new suspension rods, and then in another video we're going to run this testing some stuff on it. So let's go ahead and start.
The first step on a top-load Whirlpool washer is to work to open the lid of the machine. On a machine like this with the lights on the front near the timer, you're going to begin by unscrewing 3 screws on the back of the machine. 2 of them are on each side of the hinge that allows the machine to pivot once you have them taken out. The 3rd screw is on the cover plate on the power cord going to the machine itself. Now, on other Whirlpool machines like Bravos or Cabrio units, and most Samsungs, you don't need to do this step. Instead, you'll use a putty knife to press in on the clips holding the lid down on the front of the machine. To open up a standard Whirlpool top-loading washer, once the 2 rear screws have been removed, you will pull the lid towards you while standing at the front of the washer, then up, then back again towards the rear of the washer. This motion will remove the lid from the bracket that secures it in place. Sometimes the metal casing can be damaged or bent that makes this motion a little bit more difficult. The lid only needs to move about 2 inches in each direction as seen here in the video. With you now having access to open the lid up, you are likely going to need to use masking tape or another type of tape to secure the lid on top of the washer top itself, so that when you lean the top of the washer against a wall or other structure, it won't flip around or flop around, smashing the control panel. In this case, I'm using cheap masking tape as not to get residue on the lid and top. You can do this before you open the top up, but I'm putting the tape underneath the top to secure it extra tight. To remove a suspension rod, reach into the cabinet of the washer with your gloved hand and pull up on the suspension rod to pull it out of the plastic housing that the rod rests in. On a stock Whirlpool rod, the plastic piece will need rotated about 90 degrees before it can slide out of the housing. Once the rod is fully liberated from the plastic housing, you can gently put the rod back down into the cabinet and it can be taken out to install the new rod. Depending on the space you have available in your area, you can either tilt the washing machine on its side or lay the washer entirely flat to pull the rod out. Putting the unit entirely flat on its side will likely result in some water getting on your floor, but it is a little easier to deal with in regards to taking the rods out and putting it in. In most cases in houses, I just tilt the unit to the side to get underneath to pull the rod out and then insert the new rod. Underneath the unit, you will pull the rod out from the bottom of the washer. Sometimes the shepherd's hook of the rod can get stuck, so it may take a little bit of wiggling to get it out. There's two sets of holes the rod must go through to be installed or taken out, so you'll have to have some patience in doing this. Once you have the old rod out, insert the new rod in the exact same way, and once you have it fully installed, rest the bottom spring on the washer chassis on the lip before you tilt the washer back into place to ensure that the rod is still through both sets of holes when you level the washer. With the new rod in place, you can let the washer chassis down onto the floor so you can open up the lid again to get the rod to hook into the washer chassis. For myself, I can let the unit down while on the floor to make sure that the rod doesn't shift, but as long as the rod is resting on the lip of the washer underneath, you should be fine. Now take a plastic screwdriver and remove the plastic cup from the previous rod and insert the new cup as well as the plastic rest on the shepherd's hook for the rod for it to set on. Some of these look different than others, and this one from Supco requires the rod to rest at a 180-degree angle, unlike the factory rod that was setting at 90 degrees. To get it to mount, lift up on the washer tub and insert the hook into the cup carefully. This does take physical strength to do, and the glove does help with your grip. If you can't find yourself able to lift up the hook and tub, you want to lay the washer on its side and try without the resistance. This way, though it takes less room, and it makes sure that nothing floods or gets water on it. Now, you are going to repeat the same exact steps 3 more times. You'll open the lid up, unhook a rod, then go underneath to pull the rod and replace it with the new one. If the machine is on its side, you can sometimes do 2 at a time, but if you have limited room to work with like I am attempting here, you can only do 1 at a time. Replacing these rods does not take very long to do the first time, and by the time that you're done getting to the 4th rod, you feel like you could have done this whole process in 10 or 15 minutes. If I have room to work with, the process of changing rods is maybe a 10-minute job. Do note though, if you're working with another brand like Samsung or GE, you can possibly avoid the process of going underneath the unit like I am, as those brands typically have cutouts for you to remove the rods easily, a process I wish Whirlpool would do. And now we are all done, except for the fact that in the video I lost one of the plastic pieces during installation, which has made the washer unlevel. I did find the piece a few moments after filming this part, but I wanted to show you that you need to make sure that the plastic bushings are all from the same manufacturer and set of rods, or else you're going to run into a major problem. If the machine tub is not level, the spin mode will amplify the problem 100 times, so misinstalling these pieces or making the unit unlevel could be a small oversight with a huge, major implication. Finally, here's the unit with everything installed. There's significantly less side-to-side play, and the tub does not bounce back once you press the agitator down. It simply returns to its centered self. I know with this video it's kind of hard to see this action, but the new rods have definitely made all the difference in a top load washer like this. Now it's time to run a load of clothes through the washer and enjoy the unit not jumping around in my washroom like it was. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you have any questions or something wasn't made clear, make sure to let me know in the comments section, and then subscribe for some more videos to help you out with your appliances.